Hey everyone, grab a seat. I'm stepping into the role of your senior consultant today for this explainer, and we've got a seriously important conversation to have. Look, we spent a ton of time talking about how to use artificial intelligence to make our audits, our compliance checks, and our everyday workflows faster and way more efficient. But today, we are completely flipping the script. We're going to master the absolute most valuable professional asset you can possess in the modern workplace, knowing exactly when not to use AI. All right, let's dive right in. True expertise isn't just about enthusiastically adopting every single new tech tool that hits the market. True expertise is recognizing that not every tool solves every problem. As oversight professionals, your skepticism and your ability to confidently say no is literally what protects this organization. Sometimes the absolute best, most strategic use of AI is deciding that it's just not the right tool for the job. So, here's our game plan for today's session. First, we'll define the human checkpoint. Then, we'll break down when AI is insufficient versus when it is inappropriate. After that, we'll look at some really dangerous AI anti-patterns you need to avoid. And finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with a very practical AI judgment checklist. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the human checkpoint. This is where we establish that human oversight is absolutely mandatory. The biggest takeaway here is that human oversight is never, ever optional when you're implementing AI. Think about your daily tasks on a sliding scale of judgment complexity. On one end, you've got basic data sorting, super low complexity, right? On the other end, you're evaluating whether a manager intentionally bypassed a compliance control, extremely high complexity. As that judgment complexity goes up, the need for your specific professional expertise, your understanding of corporate context, and your discretionary decision-making just skyrockets. And when that happens, the AI immediately transitions from being a potential decision-maker to merely a supporting assistant. You are the senior partner here. The AI is just the intern. Moving right along to Section 2, we're looking at when AI is insufficient, basically meaning it's lacking capability. That brings us to our first major boundary lag. What exactly happens when the intern just isn't up to the task? When we say AI is insufficient, we mean it literally lacks the capability or the reliability to get the job done. And why does this happen? Well, AI is notoriously terrible at evaluating the quality of human intent. It also really struggles with unique, novel situations or ambiguous regulatory language. You've probably heard of AI hallucinations, right? That's where an AI confidently hands you a fake citation, a totally fabricated statistic, or a completely invented regulatory clause. It's kind of like an overeager puppy. It just wants to please you, even when it has absolutely no clue what the actual answer is. So in high judgment scenarios, or when you're dealing with really small data populations where setting up the AI takes longer than just doing the manual work yourself, relying on AI is completely insufficient. It can't read the room, and it definitely can't read context. Now for Section 3, when AI is inappropriate, which is all about violating professional boundaries. This limitation is entirely different from the last one. If a situation is inappropriate, it means the AI can physically do the math, and it can analyze the data perfectly fine, but doing so violates our rules. We aren't talking about technical limits anymore. This is about procedural and professional boundaries. If you're dealing with sensitive personnel data, unmasked customer identifiers, or situations requiring strict audit independence, like, say, evaluating management's own audit controls, using an external AI tool is completely inappropriate. You could literally have the most powerful AI in the world at your fingertips, but if our data protection policy says no external processing, you have to honor that constraint immediately. No exceptions. Okay, let's really lock in this vocabulary because you are going to use it every single day. Insufficient means a lack of capability or reliability. The AI just isn't good enough to handle the complexity of the task. Inappropriate, on the other hand, means the AI violates a policy or a professional boundary, despite being fully capable of pulling off the task technically. When you document exactly why you aren't using AI for a specific project, you need to be using these exact terms. All right, enough theory. Let's do a reality check. As your coach today, I want to see how we can apply these definitions against concrete, high-stakes corporate scenarios that you might actually face on your desk this afternoon. Let's start with assessing management fraud intent. Will this significantly impact management credibility and potentially lead to a regulatory referral? Oh yeah, absolutely. Super high stakes. So what's AI's role here? Well, it's technically capable of scanning massive transaction logs and identifying behavioral anomalies. It can totally say, hey, this manager logged into the system at 3 a.m. But what is the human role? The human has to determine the actual intent. Did they log in at 3 a.m. to commit fraud, or were they just dealing with a massive server outage? AI can't conduct an interview. AI can't read nervous body language across the table. Therefore, for determining fraud intent, AI is completely insufficient. You have to own that conclusion. Okay, let's look at another scenario. Say the task is analyzing regulated customer data for control exceptions. AI's role? It is fully technically capable of pattern recognition here. Honestly, it'd do a fantastic job finding those exceptions. But the human role is to instantly hit the brakes. Why? Because the specific AI tool we have access to is not authorized for regulated customer data. This makes using the AI inappropriate. The human has to step in, block the unauthorized tool usage, and escalate it to IT and compliance to see if the data can be masked first or if we have an internal tool available. Please, do not let the promise of finishing your work early trick you into causing a massive data breach. All right, Section 4. Avoiding AI anti-patterns. Basically, the bad habits we really need to dodge. Anti-patterns are essentially the common traps and bad habits that professionals fall into when they rush to integrate AI without stopping to think critically. There are 3 really dangerous ones I see out in the field all the time. First up, using AI simply because it's available. Look, just because you have a shiny new hammer doesn't mean everything on your desk is a nail. Second, escalating too easily. This happens when professionals get intimidated by AI, or they lack confidence in their own judgment, so they just push every single decision up the chain, which creates a massive bottleneck. And third, ignoring organizational context. This is the auditor who says, well, management told us to minimize AI use for this project, but the tool is just so fast, I'll sneakily use it anyway. Guys, that is a massive governance failure. Don't do it. I really want to zero in on that second anti-pattern for a second. You absolutely need to escalate, but you need to escalate appropriately. Escalate when there are unresolved data confidentiality issues, or when the AI is genuinely insufficient for the level of judgment required. But whatever you do, do not escalate simply because you lack confidence in your own ability to validate the AI's output. Part of your job now is building your own capability through testing and validation. Don't develop what we call learned helplessness. Challenge the AI, validate its findings, and build your own professional muscle. And finally, Section 5, the AI Judgment Checklist. Think of this as your daily toolkit. To help you actually build that muscle we just talked about, I want you to walk through these 5 steps before you use AI for any task. Step 1, capability assessment. Is the AI actually capable of this, or are there nuances it definitely can't handle? Step 2, validation reality check. Can you realistically validate the AI's output? Like if it spits out a complex legal interpretation, can you independently confirm it without just blindly trusting it? Step 3, judgment complexity. How much professional judgment is required here? If it's high, remember, AI is just an assistant. Step 4, confidentiality check. Is the specific tool authorized for the specific data type? And finally, Step 5, organizational alignment. Has management actually approved this use case? Run this checklist every single time. It will empower you to systematically figure out when to lean on AI and when to confidently say no. Oh, and when you do decide to say no, you've got to document it. For governance and quality control, documenting exactly why you rejected AI is just as important as documenting why you decided to use it. You have to maintain traceability. Write down the specific reason. Was it insufficient or was it inappropriate? Note exactly who you escalated the issue to, record the specific direction you received, and keep a very clear trail. This is your proof that you exercised professional skepticism and kept control over the whole process. So I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge today. I want you to look at your own desk, look at your own task list for this afternoon. Find just one critical process where your professional skepticism, your contextual understanding, and your deeply human judgment simply cannot be outsourced to an algorithm. Identify it, protect it, and own it. Because at the end of the day, knowing when not to use AI is exactly what makes you irreplaceable. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I'll catch you in the next one.